My sister-in-law, Jade, was known as a capable wife, a true master of budgeting. She was incredible at finding economic deals, often snagging great value items for as little as 800 yuan. Once, she even managed to rent a small, luxury three-bedroom apartment in a top-tier city. She boasted that such a wonderful place only cost a few hundred yuan a month, a massive saving compared to buying a house. She claimed it could save them tens of thousands of yuan each year. I tried to warn them for a long time. I told them that cheap rent and luxurious interiors often meant fake, toxic, formaldehyde-filled materials. With a baby barely a year old in the house, it was a recipe for leukemia, for blood cancer. Eventually, I even gave them money for a down payment. My brother finally agreed to buy a house and move, and my nephew, Ethan, was able to grow up healthy. But once Ethan grew up and faced challenges in his career, Jade would always tell him, "Your parents had saved up a startup fund for you, but Aunt interfered in our family matters and forced your father to buy a house. Otherwise, you'd be running your own company by now." Ethan harbored resentment towards me for years because of this. He even poisoned me at a family gathering, causing my organs to fail and me to die. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day Jade had just moved into that new apartment. This time, I wouldn't interfere. Instead, I praised her for being such a capable homemaker. A fridge, a TV, all for just 800 yuan? The Wang family must have accumulated great blessings in their past lives to have you, sister-in-law. The familiar sounds echoed in my ears. I opened my eyes to see my brother excitedly running around the rented apartment, while Jade held her head high, basking in the compliments. The smell in the room made me sneeze. It was then that I realized I had truly been reborn. Jade rushed over to ask me, "Ava, you're so experienced. Don't you think this apartment I rented is an amazing deal?" The whole family looked at me, waiting. In my previous life, Jade had asked me the same thing. Back then, I had immediately realized the house was problematic and clearly explained the dangers to my brother and her. "It's a type of prefabricated house," I had explained, "often renovated with cheap materials by speculators or previous owners for rent or sale. Living in it long-term is extremely harmful to health, especially since our nephew Ethan was only 1 year old at the time." My brother, worried about the Wang family lineage, quickly moved out and used the money I gave him to buy a new house. Little did I know, when Ethan grew up, every time he faced a career setback, he would blame me. He'd say, "Mom and Dad had saved a startup fund for me, but Aunt interfered, forcing Dad to buy a house. Otherwise, I'd be my own boss by now." From then on, Ethan harbored a deep hatred for me. At a family gathering, he secretly poisoned me with an ancient herbal concoction. He didn't know that the money he was upset about was actually from me. The police suspected Ethan had murdered me, but my father and brother conspired to give false statements. The whole family unanimously claimed I committed suicide. In the end, I died agonizingly in the hospital from organ necrosis. After I died, I saw Jade beaming right in front of my coffin, starting to divide my assets. She used my inheritance to travel the world, fund Ethan's startup, and even found a new wife for my father. Yet, she was so stingy she wouldn't even buy me a decent tombstone. My dearest family had exploited me to the very end. This time, I will respect other people's fates. With a faint smile, I replied to Jade, "It looks perfect no matter how you look at it." "You truly are an excellent homemaker." Jade was utterly delighted. "That's a whole year's savings. Roughly calculated, it's tens of thousands of yuan," she gushed. I, too, wanted to see if the money saved from living in that house would be enough to cover medical bills. Before I left, my father called me into his room to talk. "Ava, that 500,000 yuan you gave last time, your sister-in-law said her family had an urgent matter and borrowed it. Do you have any spare money? Your brother works so hard supporting the whole family. Formula and diapers cost a lot." I couldn't help but sneer. Spare money, my company and my savings are all things I worked hard for myself. Seeing me hesitate, my father grew impatient. "Daughters get married eventually. If you don't give money to your own brother and nephew, are you saving it for outsiders?" I replied, "Father, I will have children someday and I will need money too." He avoided my gaze and said, "My eldest grandson will know to repay you when he grows up. Why wouldn't he acknowledge his own aunt?" They had said the exact same thing to me in my previous life. My sister-in-law, Jade, refused to work for years, spending all her time at home researching money-saving tricks. She even criticized the job I found for my brother, calling it mentally draining and laborious. In the end, she found him a gatekeeper's job, easy work, early homecomings, a relaxed life for the whole family. When money ran short, they'd turn to me, always with the excuse, "You only have one brother, and your nephew will certainly repay you later." Out of love for Ethan, I replaced the cheap formula Jade bought and took full responsibility for all his formula and diaper costs. I never truly expected repayment from them. I only hoped my brother's family could live well so my mother in the afterlife could rest in peace. I never imagined that the nephew I personally raised would repay me by poisoning me to death. This life, I would not be a fool again. Jade had already prepared her formula-saving plan. I decisively chose not to interfere. My father, caught between affection for his grandson and fear of offending his daughter-in-law, could only force a smile. In my previous life, Jade was stubborn, utterly confident in her saving strategies. If my father even hinted that toilet paper bought on Pinduoduo, a cheap, low-quality shopping app, was bad, she'd pick a fight for a month. Now, how could he dare object? Would he really let his precious grandson drink such cheap 60 yuan formula? I smiled, patted my father's shoulder reassuringly. "It's fine, father." Then I walked into the kitchen, mixed a cup of cheap formula and brought it into the room. A month later, late one night, my father called in a panic. "Ava, your nephew Ethan has a fever. Quickly contact a doctor you know to help me. He must get rid of this fever today." As expected, my nephew started having health issues. I had previously checked the house they lived in. Even after being vacant for half a year, the formaldehyde levels were still lethal. My father frantically urged me, "Are you coming right away? Hurry and contact someone." I calmly replied and hung up. Lazily, I called the hospital to book a regular checkup for them. When I arrived at the hospital, Ethan, my nephew, already had a fever of 40 degrees Celsius, 104 F. My father, carrying the baby, nervously followed Jade with a water bottle. From a distance, I could already hear Jade scolding. "I told you to just watch the child, and you can't even do that. What kind of useless man are you?" My brother meekly replied, Yes, I'll be more careful next time." Seeing me arrive, my father immediately unleashed all his anger on me. "Didn't I tell you to hurry? You dilly-dallied, and now my grandson has such a high fever. I'll beat you to death." I had only intended to watch the drama unfold, so I paid them no mind. The nurse said they needed a blood test to determine the cause of the fever. As soon as she heard the cost of the test, Jade exploded. "They just want to rip us off. It's just a fever, why so many tests? I've already got a strategy, just buy fever medicine from the pharmacy." With that, she grabbed Ethan, threatening to leave. Thankfully, my father persuaded her to stay after much pleading. In the examination room, the doctor's brow furrowed from the moment he started asking questions. "A child with a high fever for several days, how can we be at ease without a thorough examination? Moreover, there are signs of malnutrition." Jade flew into a rage again. "I think you're a quack. Ava, where did you find this doctor? A fever is a fever, what does it have to do with nutrition?" She clutched Ethan and signaled my father to leave. "No more examinations, I've got a strategy." A small clinic is faster than a big hospital. Leaving the clinic, my father began urging me to file a complaint. "That doctor just wants to extract money. Your sister-in-law already has a strategy. A fever doesn't need all this fuss." I shook my head, sighing inwardly. Ignorance truly was terrifying. I wondered if my father was afraid of Jade or if he had been completely brainwashed by her saving strategies. In my previous life, out of pity for Ethan, I endured all this. Whether his illness was severe or mild, I always covered the test fees, ensured thorough examinations, and used the best medicine, which is how I managed to keep him healthy despite his mother's neglect. This life, I will respect other people's fates. Before leaving, my father glared at me. "If you can't even handle such a small matter, then send more money home. I never thought I'd raise such an unfilial child like you. Learn from your sister-in-law, she even managed to buy such a beautiful house." He seemed to think that house was meant for me to live in. I raised an eyebrow, praising, "How can a sister-in-law be so capable and filial?" Unlike him, I understood that the more beautiful the interior, the more severe the formaldehyde. Watching them walk away, cradling a weak Ethan with their heads bowed, I couldn't help but chuckle. My precious nephew almost had his health issues exposed. I wondered, when he grew up, if he found out he had a systemic illness all because of his mother's saving strategies, would he still think about poisoning her? This life, I would no longer pour my blood, sweat, and effort into feeding those vampires. Instead, I went abroad, expanded my territory, and established company branches. It wasn't until 8 years later that I returned home. As soon as I got off the plane, I saw a familiar figure on a phone live stream. It was my sister-in-law, Jade, broadcasting live. I clicked on her profile. Over the years, she had become a popular blogger, specializing in sharing unusual and diverse saving strategies, attracting a large following of other mothers, thanks to her identity as a new mom. Jade held her phone, live streaming and showcasing her recent purchases: a puffer jacket for 9.9 yuan, a backpack for 20 yuan, and several types of health supplements with English labels, all of unknown origin. She gently fed Ethan the supplements. I had only watched for a few minutes, but her entire live stream room was already sold out. On screen, Ethan looked thin and small, struggling even to sit on the chair in front of the dining table. At that moment, someone in the comments section quickly spotted an issue. This child is said to be 8, but I thought he was 6. Exactly, he looks so small. Doesn't the streamer feed her child supplements every day? Seems like they're not doing anything. Oh, I remember in the last live stream, the child had a nosebleed. Look at her house, doesn't it seem strange? The minimalist furniture, but the curtains are so flashy. And she claims all the furniture is brand new. Could it be another prefabricated house? Someone even reminded her, "Streamer, you should take your child for a thorough checkup. Don't save blindly." Jade quickly tried to brush them off. "Don't be led astray. These people are just anti-fans from my rivals. My husband and I are naturally small, so our son is also small. If not for the supplements, he'd be even shorter." In reality, my brother was over 1.8 meters tall. If it weren't for his mother's reckless actions, Ethan wouldn't be as physically weak as he was now. More dissenting comments kept reminding her and calling her an anti-fan. "Just wait and see, your nephew will get leukemia." Without another word, Jade decisively blocked them. She then smiled and explained to her fans, "Everyone, I've lived in this house for so many years. If there was a problem, I would have gotten sick long ago. Don't believe those baseless rumors." After saying that, she turned and offered Ethan a bottle of functional drink. "Be a good boy, son. Drink this before bed so you can grow tall." Ethan, absorbed in his game, simply replied, "I don't want to drink it." "Listen and drink quickly." "I said I don't want to." Ethan swatted her hand, knocking the bottle over. Jade quickly made a few embarrassed excuses and ended the live stream. After they went offline, I took the video and showed it to a doctor friend. The result: 8-year-old Ethan looked barely a meter tall, his skin sallow, with clear signs of leukemia. His poor appetite, combined with years of irregular eating, meant that even with medical intervention now, the chances of recovery were very slim. More terrifying was that his family was completely oblivious. Knowing I had returned to the country, Jade invited me to their house for dinner. The moment I walked in, she bragged, "Thanks to my saving strategies, I've become a minor online celebrity, and I even managed to rent a 100 square meter apartment for just a few hundred yuan from the same old landlord." Just hearing it, I knew it had to be another prefabricated house. I merely gave a faint, knowing laugh. "How capable you are, sister-in-law. This whole family truly stands firm because of you." My father, sitting on the sofa, snorted coldly. "Back then, I told you to give some money to help your brother and sister-in-law start a business, but you ran off abroad. See now, without you, this family still lives well. Do you think you're so clever? People asked to borrow money from you because they considered you family. You truly have no idea how to appreciate a good face." Jade chimed in, "I wonder if anyone regrets not buttering me up now that they see how successful I am?" I gave a dismissive laugh. "Fine, everyone, just listen to my sister-in-law, and don't come looking for me if you get leukemia later." Just then, my father gleefully announced, "I called you here today to introduce someone." He gestured towards the kitchen. Turning around, I saw a woman in her 40s carrying a plate of food. Wasn't this the stepmother my father married in my previous life? In my previous life, they had embraced right in front of my coffin. They even did unspeakable things. It was during a moment of drunken exuberance that they blurted it out, and I learned the truth. Even before my mother died, they had been entangled in a murky affair. They wished for both my mother's and my death so they could spend my inheritance and live a comfortable, happy life. Thinking of this, I clenched my fists, hating that I couldn't tear that woman to shreds right there. But calming myself, I thought giving them a beating would be too cheap. A house this good truly was fitting for them to slowly enjoy. "What's this, your Aunt Zhao?" my father said. "Now that you know I've remarried, hurry up and take all your mother's belongings." My heart felt a pang, but secretly I had wished for this. I quickly walked into the room, not bothering to glance at my despicable father again. I gathered my mother's mementos, preparing to leave. Suddenly, a small hand tugged at my sleeve. I turned to see Ethan. He looked at me with dull eyes. "Auntie, please take me with you. Why don't you want me anymore?" I was stunned. In my previous life, to give Ethan a better learning environment, I had taken him in, raising him and providing him with the best conditions. But in this life, I had never said I would take him. If that were the case, there was only one possibility. He had also been reborn. In my previous life, for Ethan, I had become a mother figure early on. Every morning, I woke early to prepare him nutritious breakfasts. If his academic performance lagged, I'd spend money hiring the best tutors. He was my only nephew. All he had to do was ask. Even if he wanted the stars, I would try to find a way to get them for him. For his education, I even gave up opportunities to develop my career abroad. Thanks to my meticulous care, Ethan passed the entrance exam for a prestigious high school and then a renowned university. Only when he became an adult did I feel at ease pursuing my own career. But now, I was no longer the soft-hearted, easily exploited aunt. In this life, he shouldn't dream of getting even a sliver of resources from me. I said coldly, "I'm just your aunt, how can I take you away? You should stay with your parents." I began to gauge his reaction. Ethan panicked. "Why not? In my previous life, you took me in and raised me." Sure enough, Ethan had also been reborn. Seeing my expression change, he grabbed my hand and pleaded, "Auntie, please take me with you. I know I was wrong. You're the one who loves me most." But sadly, this life, I no longer loved him. I yanked my hand away, turned, and left without a backward glance. The next day, when I went to work at the school, I coincidentally ran into Jade. She angrily dragged Ethan into a classroom. The teacher's lounge was bustling, and I, curious, stopped to watch. Inside, Jade was agitated, pointing and scolding other parents. "These brutes dared to hit my son. Teacher, I demand they all be expelled." Hearing this, the other parents erupted. "Who are you to call our children brutes? Do you even know the full story? Demand expulsion? Ridiculous." It turned out Ethan had been stealing his classmates' pocket money, even their breakfast money. An angry parent retorted, "Don't you even give him enough pocket money, and you let him steal other people's breakfast money?" Jade's face flushed red, but she refused to admit fault. "I don't care. My son's nose is bleeding now, teacher. You must deal with it." Ethan hid behind his mother, his already thin frame, now compounded by a bruised face, looking even more pathetic. The teacher tried to calm the situation. "Ethan's mother, both sides are at fault here. We should sit down and talk politely." Another parent glared at Jade. "I heard your child gets nosebleeds at the slightest touch. It's not necessarily because he was hit." Jade exploded. "Watch what you say or I'll sue all of you." Just then, Ethan saw me standing outside the door and yelled, "Auntie, save me." Jade also noticed me. "Ava, you're here at the perfect time. Come in and help your nephew." She dragged me into the classroom. "Don't think you can bully us. Do you know who my sister-in-law is? She's a famous businesswoman in Jiangcheng. If you dare hit her nephew, you won't survive in Jiangcheng." Before, her family wanted to cut ties with me, but now they clung to me like leeches. All because yesterday's news reports had announced my return. Looking at pitiful Ethan, despite my inner disgust, I still had to handle the situation properly. But expulsion was out of the question. Instead, I cleverly arranged for the other students to sit near Ethan, both in front and behind him, to give him more special care. Leaving the school, Jade walked beside me, complaining, "It's all those brats' fault. They made me miss my live stream today. Who knows how much money I've lost." I was just about to partner with old landlords in different cities to promote their properties using my saving strategies. They pay me for each city. If I hadn't had a child, my career would definitely be even more successful than yours. I struggled to suppress a laugh and praised her. "Yes, sister-in-law, you're so smart. Everything you do turns out successfully." I had to admit, Jade certainly had a brain. It was just a pity she didn't use it in the right way. As soon as we went downstairs, we realized Ethan was gone. We heard he had gone to the hospital, and Jade immediately hailed a taxi to follow him. It turned out Ethan had tried to go to the hospital for a checkup many times, but each time Jade had dragged him back. This was because there were many of her fans around the hospital, and her online persona was that of a mother who raised a healthy child with health supplements. If people saw him, wouldn't her whole facade crumble? But Ethan, with his memories of the previous life, wouldn't give up so easily. In the middle of the night, there was an urgent knock on my door. When I opened it, it was Ethan. I was about to close the door, but he grabbed my sleeve. "Auntie Ava," he pleaded, "I was wrong. You've been reborn too, haven't you? My mother instigated the poisoning. It really wasn't my fault." Ethan was truly rotten to the core. Though instigated by Jade, he was the one who administered the poison. Now, just to get me to take him away, he dared to dump all the blame on his mother. I replied coldly, "I don't understand what you're saying. Let go." I forcefully pulled my hand away. As I was about to close the door, Ethan knelt before me, sobbing. "I don't want to live with that crazy woman anymore. She's going to kill me. In my previous life, you raised me. Do you want to watch me die now?" Fearing the noise would disturb my neighbors, I reluctantly let him in. Ethan thought I had accepted him and immediately started complaining once inside. "You don't know, Auntie. Jade is truly insane. To live stream and sell products, she makes me eat all sorts of ridiculous supplements, causing me nosebleeds 2 or 3 times a day. I'm sure I'm sick. Maybe you should take me to see a doctor." I sat upright on the sofa, calmly listening to him recount his miserable life. The more he suffered, the more I reveled. But he was mistaken about one thing: the nosebleeds weren't just from the supplements, they were largely due to that rented house, filled with formaldehyde. He didn't know that, and I had no intention of telling him. In my previous life, I had died tragically in the hospital. This life, I would let him experience it for himself. Ethan pleaded again, "Auntie, my mother sells fake products and her image is fake too. You're so capable, why don't you expose her? Help me get into an international school, I'll develop my career abroad later and definitely succeed." I just shook my head. "Ethan, what strange things are you saying? What previous life?" Ethan grew anxious. "Auntie, stop pretending. We're in this together. Please get custody of me. You don't have children anyway. I'll take care of you when you're old and help you manage your company." Excellent, just got in the house and already eyeing my company, I thought. No chance. I hung up the phone and put it in my pocket. Jade must be on her way here by now. Sure enough, not long after, the doorbell rang. The moment the door opened, Jade burst in, furious. "You little wolf cub, how dare you instigate someone to report your own mother?" She raised her hand and slapped Ethan hard. Ethan desperately clung to my leg. "I'm not going back. I want to stay with Auntie, not with that cruel woman. She's the one who made me shorter than my peers." The more he spoke, the harder Jade hit him. I bent down, gently prying his fingers off me one by one. "Ethan, I'd love to raise you, but I'm not your mother. You have to go home with your mom." I turned and smiled at Jade. "How can you believe a child's words? How could sister-in-law harm her own nephew?" Jade was very pleased to hear this. "You're still the sensible one." Ethan cried out, "Auntie Ava, you're taking revenge on me, aren't you? You're deliberately trying to get revenge on me." After that, Jade slapped him several more times and dragged him home. I calmly sipped my golden wine, watching the scene of dog-eat-dog. It was utterly satisfying, and the real revenge hadn't even begun. Not long after, I encountered them again at a high-end restaurant. I heard Jade had recently landed a major advertising contract and was joyfully taking the whole family out to celebrate. We sat at opposite tables. Jade occupied the head seat, with every delicacy placed before her. Meanwhile, my stepmother didn't even have a seat, standing silently beside her like a hired maid. Sometimes, I truly couldn't understand what my father saw in her. He had no status at home, so what was he so infatuated with? Her foul mouth, perhaps, or her aversion to bathing? I stood up to go to the restroom. The stepmother trailed behind me. "Oh, this gemstone is truly beautiful. My luck is so good, unlike some people who have money but no life to spend it." She stood behind me, showing off her wrinkled finger adorned with a ring. These words weren't just aimed at me, they were also a jab at my mother. My mother had an unfortunate fate her entire life, marrying a lazy, freeloading man. She covered both my brothers and my tuition fees. Just when she saw I could earn money to support the family, she was diagnosed with uterine cancer. She passed away while I was signing a contract far away. I didn't even get to see her one last time. I turned back and said indifferently, "Yes, your luck is fantastic. You should cling tightly to my father. Your blessings are still ahead of you." She sneered. "If your mother hadn't given birth to 2 unfilial children so early, your father would have divorced her long ago. Now, isn't it great? I get to enjoy her son, and her daughter-in-law is so successful. My luck is truly good." Slap, I raised my hand and slapped her directly across the face. Blood immediately gushed from her nose. She looked at herself in the mirror, weeping and wailing. "Ava, how dare you hit me? My nose is bleeding." I chuckled coldly. "So what if I hit you? Go tell them why I hit you." Watching her look like she wanted to tear me apart but couldn't do anything was truly amusing. In reality, that nosebleed probably wasn't entirely from my slap. I feared it was a symptom of leukemia. Ethan saw me emerge from the restroom, terrified as if he'd seen a ghost. He shrieked, "Ava has been reborn. I've been reborn too. She wants revenge on us. She's definitely plotting something." I feigned innocence, walking over to pat his head. "Ethan, what are you saying? What is reborn? How could I possibly seek revenge on you?" Ethan glared with hatred, choking for a good half-minute before spitting out, "Because in the previous life, I poisoned you to death and they were accomplices. They fabricated testimonies and divided your inheritance." At this point, not just me, but everyone around thought he was out of his mind. I continued to ask, "Ethan, how could you be so cruel as to poison your aunt? Why are you talking nonsense?" Then I turned to Jade with feigned concern. "Sister-in-law, has Ethan been eating any fake health supplements lately?" Hearing this, Jade immediately sprang up and slapped Ethan. "You ill-mannered brat, what rubbish are you spewing? You clearly didn't sleep well last night. Go home right now." Ethan still tried to struggle, but Jade clutched him tightly and dragged him away. They were now considered public figures. How could they let Ethan go berserk in public? After this incident, Jade decisively pulled Ethan out of school, locking him up like a prisoner at home. A month later, Ethan couldn't bear it anymore. When no one was home, he jumped from the 3rd floor. When I received a call from my father, the grim news had arrived. "That damned girl. If you had given us money back then, my grandson wouldn't have leukemia. Get your ass to the hospital and pay the medical bills." "Which hospital?" "The closest one to their house." I hung up, unable to suppress a laugh. Finally, karma had struck. Ethan had developed the illness, and his whole family wouldn't last much longer either. I drove to the hospital. In the ward, Ethan lay unconscious on the bed. Jade, meanwhile, was still live streaming. She cried and lamented. "The doctor said it's late stage and it's hard to save him. What will my family do now? If it weren't for my famous saving strategies, we wouldn't even have money to treat Ethan. Everyone, please like and send me gifts." I couldn't help but sigh. How could a mother be so cruel? If not for her obsession with saving, Ethan wouldn't be in this state. I wondered if she would regret it when she realized she had personally caused her son's death. Seeing me enter, she seized the opportunity during her live stream to beg me. "Ava, Ethan has leukemia, and I still have to support the whole family. I don't have any money left. Please help Ethan. Please, I beg you." On the live stream screen, she knelt before me. At the sight, I wanted to vomit, but I still cooperated, gently saying, "Sister-in-law, I will definitely do my best to save Ethan. You go outside first, and I'll check on him." Jade, busy with her live stream, happily left the room. I pulled back the blanket and saw Ethan's hands and feet were tightly bound with ropes. The moment I touched him, Ethan woke up. "What are you doing here? Are you here to kill me?" He thrashed frantically, his eyes burning with a hatred that wished to devour me alive. I sat down beside the bed, gently covering him with the blanket. "Why would I need to do anything? Be a good boy. Do you think you're only here because of a broken leg? Look at which department this is. Haven't your parents told you? You have leukemia." Ethan's eyes widened. Seeing he was in the hematology department, his entire body seemed to disintegrate as he collapsed onto his pillow. "So you're here to mock me, aren't you? Don't think I'll just wait to die. My parents will definitely save me." I nodded and shook my head at the same time. "Not entirely. There's an audio recording I want you to hear." I played the recording on my phone. "Honey, are we still treating Ethan? The doctor said there's no hope, and the costs are exorbitant." "Treat him for what? That useless brat isn't worth it. We might as well have another child. Just let him lie in the hospital and wait to die. We can still gain some sympathy from it." After listening, Ethan furiously threw the recorder. "Get out! All of you get out! Everyone wants me dead, don't they? Then I don't care about living anymore." Watching him suffer a fate worse than death, I turned and left, satisfied. A moment later, a loud noise erupted outside. Nurses rushed over in a panic. "Oh no, the boy in room 402 jumped." I smiled coldly. Here, the enmity between Ethan and me finally ended. When I went downstairs, Jade and everyone else had already rushed over. Despite her hatred for her son, she still had to feign grief in front of outsiders. Immediately after, she fainted. More tragically, my father, witnessing his beloved grandson shatter like a melon before his eyes, his blood pressure soaring, also collapsed unconscious. I pretended to choke back tears as I rushed over. "Father, sister-in-law. You both must be strong. Ethan had an accident, but you two cannot have one too. Is anyone here? Quickly save my father and sister-in-law." Medical personnel once again rushed to carry the two of them to the emergency room. I sat outside the emergency room, waiting. 2 hours later, Jade woke up first. Seeing no one else in the room, she grabbed my collar, demanding, "It was you. You secretly recorded my conversation with your brother. You incited Ethan to commit suicide, didn't you?" I blinked. "Sister-in-law, what are you talking about? What recording? Let me hear it." Still trying to deny it, "I found the recorder in Ethan's room," I replied calmly. "Then call everyone in here and let them listen to what that recording contains." That made my nephew jump. Jade choked, slumping to the ground. I smiled. "Sister-in-law, it turns out you still had some feelings for your son. I thought you were just upset about losing a tool to make money." "Oh, and by the way, the one who actually killed him was you. That house you rented, the formaldehyde levels were severely beyond standard. You were the one who caused him to get leukemia." Hearing this, Jade's face turned pale. "No way, my saving strategies can't be wrong. Don't worry, sister-in-law, you'll reunite with Ethan very soon because the doctor just reported that you also have leukemia." Amidst her horrific screams, I calmly left the hospital. My father, however, was not so fortunate. He died on the emergency room bed before he even regained consciousness, a severe shock causing a cerebral hemorrhage. As I left, I saw my stepmother wailing hysterically in front of the emergency room. My brother was cursing that old woman. "Seduced my father, and now you want to divide my family's assets. I am his legal wife. Your father is dead, so you must support me." Witnessing this dog-eat-dog spectacle, I felt truly refreshed. Leaving the hospital, I wasn't idle. I exposed all of Jade's so-called saving strategies, which were essentially selling fake goods online. Immediately, the couple was boycotted by netizens. Brands also demanded compensation for breach of contract. My brother hastily divorced Jade, dumping all the blame on her. In the end, Jade died alone in the hospital, unable to afford treatment. As for me, I embraced my mother's urn and left this city, finding a place worth living, and continued to develop my career. In just a few years, I became one of the country's leading female entrepreneurs.